do I feel that's really important. Okay, so as you practice today, let's look for those things. Do I feel capable of stability? Am I feeling strong and stable in my body and mind? And do I also feel free? This is one of the first yoga sutras that I ever learned, Sthira Sukha Asanam. And it just simply means sthira is steadiness, steadfastness. And sukha is sweetness or easefulness or a sense of um, almost joyful easefulness in your body. So the asanas, sthira sukha asanam, asanas are the postures of yoga. All of the postures of yoga should feel steady and easeful, and that their goal is to lend ourselves toward a posture within our body, no matter what we're doing, whether we're in a challenging situation, an easeful situation, a yoga pose, or cooking dinner, no matter what we're doing, that we can hold true to this sutra in all of the ways in our body and our mind. Do we feel steady? Do we feel at ease? So ask yourself those questions as you practice. Kind of cue into that to see if that's present for you. And where you don't find it, you know that there's a little work to be done there. That's a spot for you to explore more, whether it's a pose or a mindset. Okay, so as you close your eyes, let's drop in and kind of just take notice. What is your body feeling like right now? Have you had a busy morning? Can you just, as the gaze turns inward and you shine the light on the inside, that sense of pratyahara, kind of moving away from all the ways we perceive outward and instead perceive inward. See if you can tend to your breathing. Notice it. Pay attention to where there might be some restriction in the breath. See if you can bring yourself to a sense of fullness. And pay attention also to how you feel here in the beginning versus the end of your practice, and really the gifts that come from embodiment and moving our bodies. So this beginning, you might notice, oh, I'm a little stiff, or I'm a little distracted, or I'm a little not fully landed here yet. And that's all normal. And just accept what is. There's nothing to change, nothing to do at this moment, other than settling yourself into your body and breath. And even here, you might notice in your physical form, someplace that maybe doesn't feel so steady or doesn't feel so easeful. Maybe it's the mind that you're noticing. Is there any kind of area of your mind or body that you could pay attention to and notice where there might not be this steadiness and ease? Relax through your face, through your skull. Soften your shoulders. Just ever so slightly have a lift of the sternum, a softening through the throat. See if you can not allow a pinching between your shoulder blades, but an expansiveness. So this lift of the heart doesn't have to be at the behest of the back body compressing. Let your breath fill your lungs. Give your legs just a little bit extra weight. And then when you feel ready, bring your hands together at your heart. And let's offer a deep intention. And release your hands. And let's find our way to our back. So as you stretch out, enjoy. One of the things that, kind of key takeaways that I got was sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's really important to slow down. Okay. Oftentimes, if we're not sure of how we feel, if we feel either a little confused in our body or mind, or if we're just a little unaware, or just haven't fully vetted something out, that we can always return to the breath. That the breath doesn't lie, it's always in truth and it's always in presence. And that we can return to slower movements to help us entrain, our mind into our body if that's what's needed. All right, so stretch your arms overhead and have some good length, reaching through your body. Remember always that don't follow me, follow you. And if there's anything that you need to modify, this is the one bummer about, not being together is that I can't see what you're doing at all. So if you ever have questions, always feel free to ask. Okay, so let's go ahead and rock a little bit. Bring your knees in and rock side to side. One of the things I learned in this workshop is that our kinesthetic awareness is 30 times faster than our visual awareness and 1,000 times faster than our auditory awareness. So think about the way you're learning yoga right now online. There's zero kinesthetic connection between you and I, that I can't touch you. So therefore, you really need to kind of understand that your kinesthesia is the best guide for you. Let's start circling your knees. So listen to the way your body feels. The kinesthetic awareness of your body is fast. It's fast knowledge and it's fast understanding. So, if I were to kind of move your arm for you, you would get the picture very quickly. Versus if I told you, lift your arm 30 degrees off the ground and turn it this way and whatever else. So recognize that when you're in a yoga class and you're only hearing, that this is a slow way of processing, and that audio, visual and touch are much faster. All right, let's open up our knees away from the midline and bring them back in toward the midline and just allow that kinesthetic awareness to take hold. What are you feeling in your hips? Try to pay attention to sensation, not just direction, like move this way, do that. Instead, listen for the feeling state of the body. What do your hips feel like when you do this? All right, right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground, and let's roll around in your ankles and wiggle through your toes. And our feet, oh my gosh, there's so much nerve endings, proprioceptive nerve endings in the feet. So let's just wake them up. Wiggle, stretch your joints around, open up your fascia, just see what it feels like to say hello to your feet. Tending to your feet every single day is really, really important. I don't think I've ever taught a yoga class in the last few years where we haven't done this in the beginning of just getting your feet awake. Okay, cross the right knee over to left. Don't go too far. Okay, just allow your body to open gently and maybe a teeny bit of rocking if you'd like. Any kind of movement. Remember that mobilizing your body in the beginning of a practice is better than a long held stretch. This is the way we warm our joints and our tissues, is with a little bit of movement. So even in this, maybe your arm wants to slide, maybe you want to rock in and out of the twist, maybe you want to turn your head. And then we'll draw that knee into the chest and give a squeeze. Release and switch. Left knee and right leg long. How does your leg feel lengthening out now? How does your other leg feel compressing in? So pay attention to sensation. All right, let's start moving around in your feet. Can you wiggle each toe and notice it? Can you feel the bones in your actual feet as you maybe flex and point or invert and evert? Can you notice all the bones in your ankles? You have, multiple joints here. This is not just one bone connecting to the other. Like, I don't know, it's very rare actually to have so much going on. Our hands and our feet have a lot going on in there. So let's just enjoy all this mobility. And then we'll cross the knee over to the side and have a little twist here. And again, don't go too far. Don't feel like you have to swing your knee all the way to the ground or something. We're just rocking and opening up our spine a little bit. Stretch open to a twist and start to move a little bit here or there. Maybe your head, maybe your shoulder, definitely your breath. And then we'll settle back to a star on the ground and open your legs and arms wide out there in space. A big breath in, and as you exhale, knees into your chest. Give a hug. Okay. And expand one more time. Open big and wide. And then exhale and draw in snug and small. Let's do that one more time. Just noticing how many joints get to open and how many joints get to close. Okay. Release your head down onto the ground. Put your feet on the ground. And instead of, this is a new thing that I learned, that instead of having your feet wider than your hips and rocking left and right, which of course is amazing and feels so good, these windshield wipers, let's take this movement just a teeny bit smaller. So feet hip width apart, ground your feet, and just pause here for a moment in this constructive rest position. Make sure there's a little teeny gap behind your knees. So our heels are not, super close into our toward our sit bones, but there's some good space there. And just notice the spine resting for a moment. And this is called Cicada Rubs Its Wings, which I love the name of it. So as you're ready for some movement, drop your right knee toward your left shin, kind of right at your knee, and then just drag that right knee down the inner shin a little bit and back toward the knee, like a cicada rubbing its wings. So it's not a huge movement. And then we'll take a few passes and straighten back your knees up again. And then left knee kind of drags along the inner right shin, rubbing along the inner right shin. Okay, so just feel a few passes on this side. So we don't have to go super far. You don't have to drag your knee all the way down your ankle. Just kind of go in a place that's comfortable. And now that you get the hang of it, let's just go back and forth, left and right. One of the principles that Donna talked a lot about these past few days when I was studying with her is that small movements can be very powerful. And if you do have any challenges with your back, whether you have SI joint problems or anywhere through your spine, that smaller movements sometimes can be better in the beginning anyway, for you really to understand where are you stable in your movements and where are you not. Sometimes if we go all the way to our end range very quickly, we lose sight of what happens along the way. So just let this smaller movement happen, this cicada rubbing its wings, and notice your back. Melt your head and shoulders. Notice how your sacrum feels doing this, how your hips, maybe there's a little release through your psoas muscles. Is your low back at ease? So just pay attention to the very gentle, subtle nature of this versus the big windshield wipers that we feel. And windshield wipers are great too. I'm not knocking them. But sometimes just taking a little smaller movement gives us a greater capacity to really sense what we're doing. And then relax that. Rest your knees again in this constructive rest. So just easeful. Knees bent, feet on the ground. Rest your upper body. Connect into the breath. And let's try to take away the feeling that we have to get somewhere or do something, but we can just sense what our body's feeling like right here. Sometimes slowing down can be very helpful. All right, and then stretch open to a star, reaching your limbs really wide. Let's roll your wrists and wiggle your fingers and roll your ankles and wiggle your toes. Stretch big into your inhale. Stretch from navel outward to your limbs. Exhale, draw the knees into your chest. Maybe pick up your head and we'll roll over to our side to lift ourselves on up. Okay, come on to all fours. This was another good reminder that I received in this workshop was that when we arch our back, even in something as simple as cat-cow, oftentimes we tend to start at the neck, especially in prone poses like a locust pose or a cobra pose, that we tend to start at the neck. So keep the neck neutral. First, let's round the spine. Drop the tail, a little rooting with your hands, release the head. And then see if you can start the cow portion of cat-cow, the arching of your back, with your tail. So lift your tail, ripple through your spine, let your chest lift and broaden, and let whatever opening happens in the neck be supported by what the chest just offered. And then switch and round the spine. So start the back bend in your tail, ripple through your spine. When you get to that thoracic spine, feel your shoulder blades land on your back. Lift your sternum, broaden your collarbones, draw your hyoid bone back, and lift your head to whatever place is comfortable. So we're not lifting our chin and breaking the line at our neck. Round the spine one more time. See if you can keep that nice long rainbow-like arch as we move into a back bend. So one more time, tail lifts up, move that spinal column and come all the way up to the head without breaking at your cervical spine where we kind of crunch the neck. And then move in any way you want to move. The spine is so delicious in how much mobility it has. So let's just sense this. You don't have to do big, huge movements. Maybe slow down a little bit from what you normally paced would be. And just enjoy all this beautiful range of motion that you have. The spine, it's just such an amazing design. You know, all this lateral bending, rotation, flexion, extension, and that we can do a combination of these things for so much movement, so much beautiful range of movement we have available to us. So let's have some gratitude for that, and then drop back into a child's pose and walk the hands far out in front of you. See what it feels like. Does your back feel like it's rounded at all here or arched at all? If your back feels rounded in child's pose, perhaps try putting a bolster either in between your hips and your ankles or even underneath your feet. So you lift your feet up a little bit so that your spine can come back to neutral. So check for neutral spine. Walk the hands over to one side of the mat and feel that lateral stretch. Breathing deeply. And then we'll come back to the other side and feel that lateral stretch. Open up through your shoulder. And then relax. Now, come look at me for a moment. I've learned this before, but you know how it is with yoga. You like find poses, you open up something, you're like, oh, I haven't done that pose in a really long time. I haven't done this in a really long time, and I forgot how good it feels. So I'm going to show you from the back. When we come up onto all fours, we're going to do a little bit of lateral movement from our pelvis instead of arcing over with our shoulders and arms to laterally bend. So we're going to come up onto all fours, and then we're going to cross the right foot over the left and drop the hips back to the left side, and then back up and switch the feet, and left foot comes on top of right, and we drop our hips back to the right. So as we inhale, we come up, and as we exhale, we cross the ankles, which will help our hips turn and go back onto those ankles and come back up and switch sides. So find the rhythm with your breath where you're inhaling to come up and exhaling to drop back. So if you notice, the normal way we do a lateral twist or a lateral movement to warm up the spine is usually just by moving our upper body and our arms over to the side. Notice the movement of this and how the lower aspect of your spine gets a lateral movement and your hips get into the equation a little bit. The other thing I love about this is the breath. Okay, so just enjoy what your breath pace is doing. Stability and ease. All right, and then come back onto all fours and let's have one or two more rounds of that cat-cow. Start with a rounding of the spine and then ripple starting from the bottom, working your way up. Keep that rainbow arc through your spine. Where do you like to inhale? Where do you like to exhale? All right. And then lift into a dog pose. Feel some extension. Open up here. Take a little time to pedal your feet. Move your hips around. Get grounded. And remember how important your feet are for everything. So let's just take some time. Maybe rock into the inner feet. Rock into the outer feet. Come up onto the toes. Come back onto the heels. Pedal one heel at a time. Just kind of find all that lovely openness and awareness in your feet. And then ripple through the rest of your body. Yield and push off and find that reaching of your body. And then we'll walk our feet forward and come to Uttanasana. Forward fold, relax, melt. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through the spine, thigh bones up and back. Spread your feet. Feel the heart extend here. And even here, don't look forward. Try not to have that crease in your neck, but keep the length of your neck. And we'll exhale and melt to fold again. Waterfall the spine. Let it dangle through your head. Inhale, halfway lift, sit bones high, thighs back. Feel the heart extend. Start to engage the back muscles a little bit. Exhale and release. Push through your feet, rising up, bringing the arms upward to the sky. Feel expansive in your heart. And even here, are you throwing your head back? As you find your way into a back bend in this posture, try to do it with your shoulder blades supporting you, the sternum lifting, the hyoid bone drawing in and up, so that you have this strong support to open your heart into. And then come to some cactus arms. Look to the sides and make sure your elbows are in line with your shoulders. And then just pull your hands back. See what it feels like to keep the elbows right where they are and just have a few pulses of the hands going back and the chest following, lifting and broadening. And then release the hands down. Shrug your shoulders a little bit. Just feel some mobility there. And then we'll ground into a Tadasana. Feel your feet. See what it feels like to feel the support underneath you, the big toe mounds, the pinky toe mounds, the inner and outer heel. Maybe rock a little bit back and forth so we just sense into the way our feet are feeling. Unlock your knees, ground yourself. Take a deep breath in, rising up with your arms. Cactus again. Another breath into a back bend, letting the hands and the heart lift. And then exhale and floating forward, releasing the spine. A halfway lift, open up through the heart. Exhale and release to come back down. Back to a dog pose. Hands on the ground, step back. Ground yourself, hands and feet now. Feel the earth and enjoy the stretch. Have your ears in line with your shoulders. See how that feels. Maybe you'd rather have your head dropped a little bit lower. If that compresses your neck at all, just sense what's here. What's the alignment you're looking for? Is there any break in your spine? Do you feel any collapse anywhere? Is there anywhere that you need to kind of shore up? And then we'll come forward into a plank. Shoulders away from the ears and feel that integrity in your body. Let your ribs move out when you breathe. So there's that, broadening of the breath outward to the sides. And then we'll put our knees down to the ground and find the earth. Roll the shoulders a few times here. Just get some looseness there. And as you lift to a cobra, press your legs into the ground. Feel that stability of the pelvis. And see if you can let the neck not just immediately throw itself back. Exhale and come back down. Take your arms out in front of you and try a wider cobra, hands out to the sides. Arms can straighten, lift up and stretch into your legs. And then exhale and come back down. Take your elbows right out from your shoulders, but turn your hands like at a 90-degree angle here and see what it feels like to lift into a sphinx from this perspective, where our forearms are turned out slightly. Notice the engagement in the back body when you do this. Can you feel, right at the bottom of your shoulder blades kind of engaging to support? How's your breathing? And then relax and melt back down. Take your arms down at your sides, palms facing the ground, shoulder blades down the back. Press your legs into the ground and keep your hands on the ground for just the first bit, and then begin to lift them up and find all those paraspinal muscles engage here. Core's engaged too, shoulder blades down the back. Exhale and release. How's your neck? Come up onto all fours. Wiggle around in your spine. Release any tension. Maybe wag your tail. Maybe let your feet sway from side to side. And then back toward a child's pose. Lift up into a dog. Feel some extension here. Breathing deeply. Let's walk our feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. How's your body feeling? How's your breath integrating? Inhale for a halfway. And then exhale. Relax. Push through your feet, rising up. Trace down through the center and pause and just see what it feels like. How are you? What's the stability and ease ratio feeling like right now? And then remember, the breath doesn't lie. What's happening with the breath? Can you use the breath as a tool to help your body and mind? Inhale, arms up. Okay, and then exhale, and they'll float forward. Relax your head. A halfway lift, expand. Let's step all the way back with our left leg. Find a lunge. Ground yourself here. Open up through your heart. Feel the hip flexors of that back leg open. And we'll begin to bend and straighten through the front leg. Hands on blocks can be very helpful to keep the length of your spine. So let's try not to collapse here, especially as we straighten the front leg. See if you can keep that integrity of the neutral spine. All right. And then come to ground yourself. Inhale, rising up. Press and lunge. Bend the back knee a little bit so that you're just slightly a lower center of gravity and you can feel that you're working with both legs. We're just going to do a little bit of an unusual movement here. So bring your hands together for a moment. Find your breath. And then put your right hand on your right hip. I'm sorry, left hand on your left hip. Right hand on right hip. You have your right leg forward, I think. So right hand on your right hip. And with your left hand, put your, like a circle, like you were looking through a telescope. Okay. And don't look through just the telescope. Just look at your whole hand, as if you're like holding something in your hand. Okay. And then stretch that hand straight out so your vision goes long. And then bring it back in. Okay, one more time, straight out in front of you. Vision goes long, look at the hand, and then bring it back in. Maybe you can hold your palm up like you have something in between your index finger and thumb that you're looking at, okay, that you're holding. And we're going to take the hand straight out to the side and turn your head and stretch far away. And then back in. And far away. And back in. And the last thing we're going to do is turn to the back. Bring your hand behind you. And then look at it close. And bring your hand behind you. And look at it close. Walk the back foot forward. We're going to do that a little bit more, not today, in some different leg positions to kind of train our proprioception a little bit. But just notice when you stand here, the comfort that comes, the ease that comes when you put your legs back together. So sometimes the stability and ease is cultivated by stepping outside of our comfort zone and then releasing back in. So the breathing in and breathing out of effort and release, you don't have to have everything be super comfortable. So ease doesn't mean that it's easy all the time, but that you can have a sense of groundedness, spaciousness, breath, even within challenge. Step back to a lunge on your other side. I'm not sure which side I'd said to do first. So I have my left foot forward. You do you, whatever the other side is. Hands on blocks. And then we'll bend and straighten here and just see what that feels like to open up the hip flexors, to open up the hamstrings, to return to that stabilization of the breath. Long exhales, tend to your breathing. All right, ground yourself again. Push through your feet. Rising up, crescent lunge. Can you feel that you're not compressed in the low back? Bend the back knee a little bit so that you have a lot of neutrality in your spine. Rising up. And this time we'll put our left hand on our left hip if your left foot is forward, and we'll have our right hand out in front of us. Stabilize through your legs. You engage your core a little bit. Maybe a telescope, maybe something between your fingers, but just take your arm, stretch it forward, look into the distance a bit, and then bring your vision back close. Bring your hand close to your face. One more time. Out to the distance in front of you and back. Straight out to the side. Okay, right hand out to the side. And then hand back in. Let your gaze follow whatever your hand is doing. How's your breath? Stability and ease. And then back behind you. All right, back to center. Hands down onto the ground, back to a dog pose. And notice how nice it is to have 4 points of contact to be close to the ground. Deep breath in. Deep breath away. Come forward into a plank. Find the earth. Breathing deeply. Let's rise up. See if you can drop the shoulder blades down. Cobra pose. Lifting the heart. Let the neck be last. So as we lift into the heart, we don't compress the back of our neck. And then exhale and relax. to come back down. Stay prone for a moment. Put your hands under your head so you have a nose spot to breathe. And enjoy your body resting on the ground. Melt everything. Relax your legs, relax your pelvis, your spine, your arms, your head. Breathe here and notice your body moving as you breathe. Come back up. Wiggle around in your spine. Wag your tail if you'd like. Back towards child's. Lift to a dog. Extend and open up. And then walk your feet forward. Uttanasana. A halfway lift. Expand your spine. Release and fold. How are you feeling? Push through your feet. Rising up. Trace down through the center. And let's step our left foot back, shorter stance. So, not going very long. You can always take a little wider than, hip width apart if you want. And we're going to bend find the weight in both legs evenly. Just first make sure you have both legs grounding, and then bend into that front knee a little bit. So it's kind of like a modified, a very short Vera 1 kind of legs, okay? And then cross your hands over your chest, either arm on top, whatever feels comfortable. We'll do both sides. So when we put the other leg forward, we'll cross our arms the other way. And then close your eyes. Now just notice what's here. Maybe it's easy for you. Maybe it's super hard for you. And just see if you can sense taking the vision away. Can you lean into that proprioception, of your nervous system knowing where you are in space without your eyes? Notice how much your feet are moving. It's millisecond by millisecond, your feet are stabilizing you. How's your breath? Did you forget to breathe? Are you holding your breath? Can you relax? Can you feel stability and ease here? All right, and then release. Bring your arms down, walk your back foot forward, switch sides. Kind of cross the other arm on top. So whatever, arm you're comfy with, do the other one on top. Bending into your knees, grounding into both legs. So you remember how wide apart you are here. We're not doing this on one foot. There's a lot of support underneath you. So feel it with your eyes open first, that you're quite grounded, that there's a lot of support here. Engage the core a little bit, engage the pelvic floor, engage the feet, and then close your eyes and stay inside your breath. Keep stable with your pelvis, your glutes, your core. All the center body is helping. It's not just your feet or your legs. Notice if you're leaning back. Notice if you're leaning forward. See if you can balance the weight evenly. Try not to open your eyes and just see what it feels like to a full commitment to the eyes closed instead of like a little squint, We're not 4-year-olds cheating at pin the tail on the donkey, right? So we're just committing to what's available if I really don't have my vision. Soften your eyes behind your lids. Is there tension somewhere that you can let go of? Where's stability and ease? And then release the hands and find your way back to Tadasana. A breath in, a breath out. Come up onto your toes, inhale, rising up. Keeping your eyes open. Exhale, back down onto your heels. And now we'll try this. Hands usually are, when your hands are crossed over your chest, you have a little more stability, but that may not be true for you. Maybe your arms out to the sides or up, or hands on hips might give you better sensing. but we're going to close our eyes before we lift. So close your eyes, put your hands in where intuitively you feel most stable, and then slowly lift up onto your toes. Okay, so we're not doing one foot. We got 2 feet on the ground, but not our whole feet. So just notice. Keep your eyes closed. It's okay if your heels, if you fall out, the worst thing that's going to happen is your heels are going to come down. It's nice and safe place for you to practice. Core, breathing. Use your pelvic floor and your glutes and your core. Try to use your center body. Even your back muscles are working here. And then open your eyes and put your heels back down. Cross your arms the other way if you're doing it, or maybe try a different arm position and see, don't take my word for it. For me, in my body, having my arms out to the side is way more stable than having my arms crossed. So I'm atypical in that way. Maybe you are too. So just see what position, try all of them and see what gives you a sense of stability. Your heels don't have to be super high. You don't have to have, a 6-inch pair of stilettos on. You could just have, like a half an inch off the ground. So your heels are not touching. Eyes are closed. All right, and then release your heels down and just notice the fatigue in your body from something so simple. I don't know about you, but my legs feel tired, my feet feel tired, my calves feel tired. And maybe you are holding your breath. So let's take a deep breath, stretch open. And then as we exhale, folding forward. So remember that balance work doesn't have to be standing on one foot, that you can do a lot just by practicing more awareness of using proprioception and less reliance on your vision. Exhale and fold. Let's take ourselves back to a dog pose. Feel open. Maybe take your feet a little wider and just get your breath to travel to your pelvic floor, to your legs, all the way to your feet. All right, and then come down onto your knees and back to a child's pose. Finding breath. Onto all fours. And let's take the twist we usually do in the beginning. Reach the arm up in the air. Maybe the wrist can roll around a little bit. Drop that shoulder down. Release any tension from your neck. See if you can soften your skull. Full breaths here. And then we'll lift that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Switching sides. Arm up. Give your wrist a swirl if you'd like. Drop that shoulder. Breathing deeply. All right, and then when you're ready, we'll come onto our back. Bring your knees or your feet onto the ground. And let's just pause again like we did in the beginning. And start with the cicada wings again. And we'll turn this into a bigger movement, but just start small, where we're just sliding the knee down the inner shin. Cicada rubbing its wings. Head is heavy, shoulders are heavy. Easefulness through your sacrum, through your back. And feel free to deepen the movement to whatever place. Go slow enough where you can feel as you slide your knee down. How far is far enough? How far is too far? What happens in your back? I know for me, when I I get to a point kind of in my lower shin where when I go any further, my back, the same side as the knee that's doing the work, that part of my low back lifts and kind of compresses upward. I don't know what's happening in your body, but pay attention to what's happening in your body. And I also notice that happens to me when I do my right leg, but not when I do my left leg. So, what's happening? What are the asymmetries that you're noticing in your body? Okay. All right, and then pause. Constructive rest, just a little gap behind your knees. Relax your head. Breathing. All right, bring your knees into your chest, a little rocking left and right. Let your nervous system go. Maybe you want a happy baby. Just kind of find whatever it is that your body's looking for. Maybe you need a little hip stretch, a little reverse pigeon. Maybe whatever it is that you're looking for. Just remember, when before Shavasana, let your final breath before you kind of lie down be something symmetrical, either knees to your chest or a happy baby, just so we return to symmetry no matter what kind of completion you're creating in your practice. All right, and then release the legs down whenever you're ready. And ask yourself if you need any support under your knees or under your head, or maybe your arms or legs want to be wider out from the midline or closer. Make sure you're not touching anything that's going to distract you. And perhaps you want just the slightest bit of oscillation in your head. You can rock a little bit into a shaking your head no, or nodding your head yes, or any kind of seaweed movement in your head. And when you feel ready, just melt your body into the ground. Let's begin to deepen our breath again. Don't move just yet. First, just melt your body into the ground and notice, how do you feel? And then begin to invite a little movement, fingers, toes, wrists, ankles. Any transition gestures that you like, go ahead and do. And remember to not just pop yourself up by rolling up, but instead roll to your side and pause a moment on your side. And then coming to a comfortable seat whenever you're ready, taking your time. So ground yourself in your posture and notice, just like we noticed in the beginning, how do you feel? How do you feel in your mind? How do you feel in your body, in your breath, in your heart, your spirit, all your ways of being the whole of you? How do you feel? And let's offer the energy of our practice. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.